other problems, but in Alcoholics Anonymous, I keep to the problem of alcohol. I got to tell you personally, I did experiment with cocaine a little bit, and after about 22 years decided it really wasn't for me. And my nose will tell you so. But yeah, my main problem is alcohol. Once I put it in me, I cannot stop drinking. I've stopped wondering why, scientifically, socially, intellectually. I just know that first one is too much because I just keep going and going. And I screwed up my life pretty badly. I know everyone thinks theirs is the worst, and I'm going to tell you it isn't. And when you join us in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, you'll find the bravest women and men and women who have suffered the same disease as you do, but they found a solution, and they made a pretty good life, very prosperous. Never prosperous might be, whether it be money or romance, but
prosperous.
Stephanie's my fiance, and she's also a member of Alcoholics Anonymous.
Lucky me. AA, not him.
You'll notice a little age difference, just slightly. She's not my daughter. And,
Clearly. He could be, though. For some of you.
Yeah, so why is Stephanie and I here on Christmas Eve? That's because the more I give it away, the more I get. And I know that's a stupid slogan. You're like, well, yeah, right, really, please, give me a break. But it really is true that when all else fails, work with another alcoholic will always work. You know, if I talk to another alcoholic, the main reason I'm talking to you is like a sponsee. It's so that I'm talking to you, the asshole, rather than this asshole. Okay, that's basically it. I get out of myself, and I'll wake up in the morning, and everything is in my head. You're no good. You suck. You're a liar. You're a fake. You're a sham. And then my sponsee calls me up, and he's saying the same things that I'm thinking. And I'm going, God, that sounds so stupid. Okay. But he's talking the same as I do, and that's why we have the same thing going on. And it's not that we're psychotic like that, but the fact is that when I start thinking that way, there's one thing that relieves me, and the relief is from alcohol. Getting high, getting out of myself, just this one time, take a break from it, and everything will be okay. Nobody will know, yada, yada, yada. And before you know it, I'm sitting in Seafield going, how did I get here again? And I see some familiar faces. That's okay. I always like to share that the co-founder of Alcoholics Anonymous, Bill Wilson, it took him 4 tries in a hospital to finally get sober. So I guess you're just following the path of one of our co-founders. It's okay. It's finally when you get it, when you've had enough, and you surrender to the disease and to a solution. Alcoholics Anonymous, we are not a cult. We don't give you that secret password when you come in, or the secret. I mean, it's a difficult program. It becomes a way of life. It's a great way of life. And I'm not asking, for you to give AA all your money. We don't care about your money. We don't care about where you come from, what color skin you are. We just care about helping you so that I can stay sober too. So we usually share our experience, strength, and hope. Why? So that hopefully one of you can identify with our story, and then hear how we got sober, and then possibly hear how life has become. So with that, I'll give you Miss Stephanie R.
Hi, everybody. My name is Steph. I'm an alcoholic. Hey, Steph. Hi. Merry, happy, whatever you do, whatever you believe or don't believe or celebrate. I want to say just something Richard said was, it's okay if you're back, and it is okay if you're back, but if it's your first time here, you don't have to do it again. And maybe stick with the people who haven't done it again. Because you never have to feel this way again. You never have to do this again. And I didn't think that was true when I came in for the first time 12 years ago, and my story is one with 1 relapse so far. And I'll start at the beginning. Excuse me?
Whoops.
Lucky man, huh? We know who's in charge in my house. Oh, they all feel bad for you now. So where to start? Now you threw me off, heckler. Should kick you out. I'll start at the beginning. I've been recently introducing myself as an atheist because in AA you don't hear it a lot. And I've been around a long time, and I didn't land on the atheism label easily. I did a lot of searching and a lot of step work and a lot of work with my sponsor. But I say it out loud now, even if it sometimes upsets people, because I need you to know that this is something you can do without a higher power labeled as God, without a higher power labeled as something supernatural. This is my foundation in sobriety, and I have stayed sober now for 5 years, and it has not been that difficult. And I came in and I wanted to cross the word God out of the book everywhere it appeared. So I ask only, something we ask in AA in general, that if you are very religious or have strong beliefs, I will never shove mine down your throat, but please open your mind and listen to me when I speak. So, I was born and raised in New York City. I was adopted, I should say, at 6 weeks old by seemingly lovely people. And for all intents and purposes, the first 5 years of my life were great. I had a really nice, happy little childhood, and sort of bells and whistles, and everything looked good on the outside. But really from a very young age, and I only saw this when I got sober and sort of looked back in my story, I felt different from, or less than, whatever you want to call it. I didn't fit in to the world I was in, or was growing up in. I was born to sort of middle working class Italian family in Trenton, New Jersey, and I was adopted by upper class, super waspy, Southampton in the summer, Upper East Side types in Manhattan. And I didn't know the differences between that then, so whatever, if there was something biological, I don't know, but I felt like I didn't fit in. We would go to this like summer beach place, and the parents would shove us all off to hang out at Lala Manger's house, and they would take care of us while our parents got drunk on the beach. And, Bo and Blair would lead the beach walks, and everybody was named Bo and Blair as far as I could tell. And I wasn't a Bo or a Blair. They were blonde and they were skinny, and I was not blonde. I was sort of curly brunette hair, and I was a little chubby. And all I wanted to do was sit in the kitchen with Lala Manger's mother and eat cookies while Bo and Blair led the beach walks, right? At the time, I didn't know that was what I was experiencing, was feeling less than. I couldn't have put words to it. But when I look back, I see that through my whole life. So I was put into a prep school, which had a bunch of other people named Blair, no Bows. Lots of school uniforms and perfect kids from seemingly perfect families, because on the outside, everything looked really good in their lives. To this day, I don't know what was really going on. But based on the outsides only, I felt like I didn't fit in there. So from a very young age, I sort of defined myself, and I gave myself the bad girl label before anybody else could give me the bad girl label. And now I'm standing in front of you in my loafers and my red pants and, looking the part that I am now, because I don't have to stand out in the way I did then. But I was, by 12 years old, I would leave school 3 or 4 o'clock, and I would take off my school uniform, and I would put on big Gerbeau jeans and a Carhartt jacket and Timberland boots, and I'd put my hair up in a really tight ponytail, pulled back, dark purple, we're talking about, early 90s, dark purple lipstick, crushed bamboo earrings, and my walk would go from the schoolgirl walk to suddenly I'd be an OG, walking up to my boys on 135th Street to drink, and Lenox Avenue. That was my hangout spot, a brown bag, 40 of Old E, and a blunt on 135th and Lenox, because my best friend lived in an apartment there. And I would hang out on the corner with men. I mean, I was 12, and these guys 19, 20, 21. So really, it's if you look at 12-year-olds, that's like a little kid hanging out with full-grown men. And those were my 2 lives, and I could sort of fit into both, but everybody knew I was the bad girl. So their parents didn't really let them hang out with me. They knew I smoked and would sneak out of school during the day to smoke. I don't think anybody really knew that I was hanging out uptown every weekend and after school. But the school at one point actually did figure it out, and they said this horrible thing, like I got called into the headmistress's office, and she said, I hear you've been hanging out with a certain group of people, and I'd rather you didn't do that in your school uniform because that's giving the school a bad name. And I was like, fuck you, and I left. And I did that to teachers a lot. Like, I was really set on showing that I was I was like the hardcore bad girl, from tattoos and piercings, the whole thing. And it worked, and it protected me for a long time, right? Like, I didn't have to feel less than. I gave myself the label, nobody else could judge me, and I lived up to it to the best of my ability. So that's really, like, through high school. I could go to, like, the Upper East Side fancy bars, and then at the end of the night head uptown, and I could change my clothes and my personality with them. And so that's the first time in my story I see this chameleon develop, this person. None of it's really me, but it's this, like, I can sort of adapt me because I haven't figured out me. And I can adapt me to fit into any scenario I want. I always found the worst drinkers and the drug addicts because those were my people, right? I mean, those were the people who also, we didn't talk about it, but they also felt different and they also felt less than. And even though we didn't say those words to each other, there was that sort of understanding, like, you're with me in this. I feel uncomfortable in my own skin. And alcohol for me, I mean, you've probably heard it before, like the first drink made me feel prettier, the second drink made me feel smarter, third drink made me feel sexier. You know, the eighth drink, I was doing some pretty shameful things, or things about which I would feel ashamed the next day. And the only cure for that was, of course, doing it again. But it sort of allowed me to be someone who I didn't think I was. People always described me as an extrovert, but it's not how I felt, right? I played this part, and in fact, I'm incredibly anxious a lot of the time and incredibly shy, and one of the beautiful things about going to AA was Lexapro. Whew! Changed my life like 180 degrees, went from living in dread to actually sort of looking forward to some things. But that was, 3.5 years into sobriety, and it wouldn't have worked if I was drinking. So anyway, I digress. So college, high school, college, it's all kind of the same. Weekend warrior mostly, some nights out during the week, but nothing major. You would have called me a heavy drinker then, but certainly not an addict or an alcoholic. I grew up in a time when movies like The Basketball Diaries were very sort of popular, and so something about addiction was almost chic. It wasn't, the stigma was lifting, but for the wrong reasons. And so I sort of had always looked at it as like, I'd watch those movies and think, I want to be like that heroin addict in that movie. Like, that's my dream. Those were my only dreams, and I honestly didn't think I'd live past the age of 30. So I go to college, drinking's a lot more frequent. I'm not really going to class. I go to a college that isn't so great by some people's standards. And I sort of do that on purpose because I know I won't really have to work hard to do well. I won't have to show up. I can party and still graduate. And I do that, and I have a really bad relationship with my parents at this point. I've been a bad kid, and a lot of blame. They made a lot of mistakes, some of which relatively are big and some of which relatively are small. But I was a victim, and I was blaming and angry. And my last year of college, my father died. I was 21, I guess, just about to turn 21 when he died. And of my two parents, he was the nicer, he was the more generous, he was the kinder, he was a good man, and tried to be a good father. So losing him was hard, although I was so numbed out at that point, I didn't really feel, I didn't mourn until well into my sobriety, really mourn. But I did use it as an excuse to really, jump to the next level of drinking. And so by the time I'm working, when I'm out of college, I'm drinking daily. Not when I wake up, but I start at lunch, 11:30, I have a liquid lunch, a few scotches, then I bring back to the office, I don't know why Mountain Dew, but always Mountain Dew with half of it poured out and replaced with vodka. And I work in retail, so you're sort of around and moving. People don't really notice, or they do. I didn't know. But life is getting pretty crummy, every night after work, I'm getting really very, very drunk. Cocaine's in my story a little here, I find it enough, and I know the wonderful effects it has on drinking. I can drink without spins and drink without blackouts, all of which I thought was normal. I thought other drinkers blacked out all the time. Apparently, by the way, they don't. They have a couple of drinks. They do not forget their entire night. But it doesn't come in until later, pretty hardcore. But I'm daily drinking. My life is getting miserable. I'm making all these choices that many of us make, especially women, that are really shameful, or I felt really ashamed. And I sort of, at this point, wasn't able to look in the mirror anymore much. And I didn't care much about what happened to me or my life. And I don't think I understood at all. Like, I wasn't one of these people who's like, I'm definitely an alcoholic, but I don't want to do anything. I never tried to quit. I did instead get a boyfriend, one of my bosses. I took him hostage, and I thought he would fix everything and make my life better. And when he didn't work, I decided to move, because clearly it was living in New York that was my problem. So, I looked across the map, and my boyfriend was from the UK, and I said, let's go somewhere where nobody drinks. Let's move together to Scotland. So I don't know if any of you know Scottish people, but they do drink. The bars aren't open until 4 a.m. They're open until midnight, but I was used to starting early, so I would get off work there. It changed. I didn't get drugged. Well, I got drugs once from a taxi driver there. But it was 2 bottles of wine at night. Well, one. I would buy myself one every night and say, I'm just having one, just one. Like, I feel like normal people have like a glass. I'm just having 1 bottle. But then you buy it at the supermarket. 9:30 rolls around. I'm finished with the bottle. I'm not ready for bed. And I'm like chasing, I don't know how to drive, chasing through the Scottish moors to the supermarket to buy 2 more bottles. So every night was really like 3 bottles of wine. Wake up, go to work, do it all again. So I'm still miserable. I'm doing weird stuff to get attention from my boyfriend and his family, throwing myself down the stairs because I don't feel loved enough or whatever, creating drama constantly where there is none, and then blaming everybody else for it. And so poor guy. It really was rough with me. But I think he probably could use Al-Anon because he never really did anything about it for himself. He sort of was happy to be taken hostage. But I got sick of him, and I got sick of Scotland because it wasn't me that was the problem. It was the place, it was the people, it was his family, it was everything else. So I said, I'm going to come back to New York, clean slate, everything's going to be fine. I get back, I leave him there. I was nice like that. I would just sort of disappear from people's lives all the time. And the first night back, I do all the same stuff I did before, only this time I found the Coke again, So I get completely obliterated. I came in and out of a blackout, woke up the next day, and I had a hangover like, I'm sure you've all had it, where every pore on your body feels huge, and sweat is coming out from places it shouldn't, and you're so uncomfortable you can't sleep. And the shades are drawn, and I'm sort of peering out, wondering how on earth there's a sunlight at all and people are in it. And I could barely move. And years before that, I must have been 19, a psychiatrist had given me, I've been in therapy in and out since I was 8, so that did nothing. A psychiatrist had given me a copy of Living Sober, which some of you may know. And I had sort of looked at it and went like, I don't know what this is for. And I put it on my shelf, as I do with all my books. I have thousands of books lining my walls, and this is the only one that sort of pulled out. And I wake up that morning with this hangover, and I see it, and I know I have a choice. And this is like 2004. And so I make the choice. Like, I called AA. I'd heard of it. I knew it. My generation, the people I grew up around, kids were dying from this before the heroin epidemic. We're dying from, and my group of friends were dying from, getting AIDS from their mother from sharing a needle with her, right? So I've already got that. I don't have the stigma in my mind. I don't think it's going to be like old dudes in a basement. Like, I know who's using. I know who's out there. And I know it's my people, so I go. And I'm fine. Like, I don't feel weird, but I also don't feel anything. I'm still really shut down. And I spent 4 years in AA not drinking, which I think is great and probably saved my life in many ways. At the very least, took me out of some very dangerous situations. But I put down food, and I don't know if you've heard the whack-a-mole thing people say before, one goes down, the other comes up. I put down alcohol, and I picked up food, I didn't read the book. I didn't get a sponsor. I didn't do the steps. I didn't take advice from other women. I raised my hand and said how much I hated other women. And I raised my hand and I shared about how much I hated the world and AA and having to do this and how much everyone sucks and how much my life sucks. And I ate. And I ate as much as I drank, if not more, and I gained 100 pounds in the 4 years. So when I went back out in 2008, I was literally a hot mess. Nothing was fixed. I was angry. I went out angry and fat. And I just went for it. I was like, I've got nothing now, right? I've got nothing to lose. And I drank for 4 years. I'd learned some stuff in AA, so I learned how to drink sort of and have this functioning life because I did listen to people, not for the right reasons. But I listened to the tactics clearly, and I picked it up, and I became a binge drinker, and I actually had a decent job that I didn't lose. And my mother had bought me an apartment. I lied to people and told them I had bought it because I sort of had this fake life that I would lie about, and I would tell people these things that made me sound bigger or more successful or fancier or whatever. Like, I still find myself randomly lying about something. Like, yeah, well, I did that 20 times. It's like, no, you didn't, Stephanie. Stop talking right now. You didn't do that. But, so we have that in us probably as humans, but it was magnified dramatically because inside I felt like such a piece of shit, right? And so everything on my outside I had to make sound bigger and more and better. As if nobody could tell that I was 260 pounds, so clearly I'm not okay. But I think that if I get the fancy bag and the this and I do my makeup, that everybody's going to think I'm okay. So, and I have a job and I lie about buying my apartment. So this apartment that I didn't buy, that I'm living in, my life is not fancy enough. And the only thing that I can think will fix it is money. So I take out a home loan in the amount of $300,000, and between that and $50,000 on credit cards, I was $350,000 in debt within 3 months, all spent. And that was entirely partying, and then there was the house rental in Southampton, so that people would think I was rich and fancy. I don't even know how to drive. I have no way to get to the house except a car service, which I then insist must only be Mercedes car services. This is all on borrowed money from a bank. Like, this is not because I'm so successful, right? But that's where that, like, delusional thinking, like, I hate myself so much, but I can't tell anybody. I'm so afraid to be vulnerable and to tell anybody that I feel weak, that I feel ashamed, that I hate myself. So that's near the end of my drinking. The very end, the thing that prompts me to come back to AA is my first very abusive relationship. I'm not your typical woman, or so I thought, because I'm, kind of a tough bitch. I didn't think that would happen to me, and I invited someone into my home to live with me, and it happened. But thankfully, I had had AA in my life before, because I just don't know if I'd be out of that relationship now if I hadn't. Because I knew about 5 months into it that this was bad. And I knew the only way out was to get sober. And the only way to kick him out was to get sober. I had to get the fog and the shit out of my head so that I could get him out of my life. So AA had given me that gift unbeknownst to me. So I started trying to get sober to get rid of this man. And I did get rid of him. It was a very painful and difficult time, but it got done, and he got out. And then I couldn't stay sober, because I wasn't really there with the right, it wasn't about me. And I don't believe you have to come in because you want to so bad. Like, plenty of women have come into the rooms to get rid of a terrible man, or men come in to get rid of terrible women, and stayed because they heard it, they got it, right? So I don't think there's any, like, wrong motive for trying AA. But in my case, I then thought I was going to find a husband, because I was still like, well, if it's not alcohol, a man will fix it. So I spent about a year trying to come back, right? Because I wouldn't raise my hand and share my days. I wouldn't get honest, because I thought, well, the good guys won't want me if they know I'm a day counter and I'm sick. So I do all this other stuff, like I lose all the weight, I quit smoking, I do everything in this effort to get better. Maybe I don't really have to change everything, and it turns out I have to change everything. Turns out I have to quit drinking. I had a night, no worse than any other, but the same, probably 36 hours of drinking and cocaine, and a friend came home, and I was like, but I have to go to my friend's christening, her daughter's being christened, and I've got crusty shit all over my nose, and I'm sort of green, and I'm sweating, and my pores are huge, and my hair's in positions it shouldn't be, and everything hurts. And she's like, you can't go. Like, it's worse to go, in fact, into a church on Park Avenue and be like, she's like, you can go home. So I lay in bed, and I wanted to kill myself, and not in that sort of theoretical way, like, wouldn't it be easier to be, it wasn't like an existential crisis. It was like, so if I climb up all the way to the top, is 8 floors really high enough for me to jump? And for those of you who believe in God or believe in this, God wink, miracle, whatever it was, instead of jumping off, because AA had been in my life, I picked up the phone and I called someone who was sober. And he said, sit tight, I will bring you Antabuse tomorrow, and I want you to go to a meeting. And I said, okay. And I'm not, it is sort of a miracle, whatever that looks like to different people. And so I did sit tight, and I couldn't sleep, but I waited, and he came over the next day, and he gave me Antabuse, which I'd never taken before, but it really does scare me. Like, that actually scares me. The idea of drinking through the Antabuse scares me, because what if you don't drink through it? Like, I don't want the sick part. I don't mind if it kills me immediately, but that whole, like, vomiting and having a heart attack, that doesn't appeal to me. Death, okay. Suffering, no thanks. So I take the Antabuse, and I don't go to a meeting, and I live on Antabuse in fear for like 2 months. And that's not working. I'm really unhappy. I've done everything now, right? I've quit the smoking. I've lost the weight. I'm not drinking, and I still don't have any mirrors in my house. I still can't look at myself in the mirror. And I feel completely alone. And I feel like nobody in AA is going to take me back. Like, clearly my problem's bigger than all of theirs, and nobody could hate themselves as much as I do. I mean, I would cross the street, and the script in my head was like, the guy in that car would hit me if it were legal, because he thinks I'm such a piece of shit. Like, that's a weird phrase to have in your head to begin with, but, like, it was literally like, that guy would rather kill me than have to look at me, or a girl. So I don't know how I came back. I don't know when I came back. I don't remember my first meeting. It was one of my old home groups, and they welcomed me back with open arms. I mean, there was absolutely no judgment, which is amazing to me, because I can be the most judgmental person in the world. And they taught me how not to be. But they welcomed me back, and they were happy to see me back. Because I was one of them. And all they wanted was for me to have a life that was better than the one I was leading. All they wanted was for me never to feel that way again, and to keep themselves sober. So I came back, and the first thing I did, and this is annoying, but I chose a woman as my sponsor who I absolutely hated the first time I came in, because she did things like tell you to read the big book, make you call her every day, go to a meeting every day, like actually report in and do a little something. Because really, AA is a program of action. It isn't a program of sitting in a room and raising your hand and complaining. And it isn't a room of just talking. It's a program of action. So that seemed difficult, but I did it. It was a lot, and she would say to me all the time, you don't have to want to do it. You just have to do it, right? That's the difference. You don't have to want it. Everything isn't about wanting it. And I was like, well, that doesn't sound very good, but I did it. I did everything she asked. She didn't ask that much. She said, are you willing to go to any lengths? I said, yes. What are those lengths? And I was like so hopeful they weren't really hard. And they weren't. They were call me every day and go to a meeting every day. And then we started the steps when my brain cleared a little bit, and it took me more than a year to do the steps. And I really like to emphasize that it doesn't have to be your first day. It doesn't have to be 90 days. It doesn't have to be a year. Don't procrastinate on them. There's no reason. And if you're ready to move on to the next. And for the steps that are scary for some of you, the God steps, I really am an example of being able to do that without it. You find your way through it. And you find the right sponsor who is maybe religious, maybe spiritual. Any of those things don't matter if her mind is open as it should be and your mind is open as it should be. So I built my foundation on those steps. I immediately went into service because there was a group that was failing, and that was really what saved me in the beginning, was being a part of that group and being there all the time. You know, if I was there every Friday night leading a meeting, and it was like these women would come in, sorry guys, but I really am women with the women, which I didn't think when I first came in. I was like, I hate girls. Turns out I don't hate girls. That was a defense. And it saved my life to see these women coming in. So when I wanted to drink, but I knew that they needed to see my face smiling on a Friday and welcoming them. And that meant more to me than I did. So like that, I couldn't love myself yet, but I could love these people, and that kept me going. And then we did the steps, and you know, if you come to the rooms of AA, hopefully you will do them too. I think it's important. And it's step 12, step 1 and through 11 are sort of the work, as they call it, and step 12 is what we're doing right now, is giving back what was so freely given to us. And it was really freely given to me. And it's a great joy to give it back. And it's actually a great honor to be able to do this on Christmas Eve, because I think, or the first night of Hanukkah, that this is, you know, I get to celebrate it at all or be a part of this at all because of AA. So AA gave me the foundation for living. I am not someone who goes to a meeting every day, though in my first year I absolutely did, to make the connections and do the service and the things I needed to do to save my life, and then I found my balance in it. It is not my life. That works for some people. They want to go every day, and I wholly support it. 2 of my sponsees, one of whom is very religious, she doesn't talk about it in the rooms. None of that matters, right? She found her balance, I found mine. It gave me a foundation for living. It is not my life. I use it as my foundation for living. And the thing I'd like to close with is one of the things that annoyed the shit out of me when I first came into AA was when people were like, oh, I'm so happy, joyous, and free, and it gave me a life beyond my wildest dreams, and, you know, and I was like, really? I don't even know what that is. I never had a dream for my life. I never thought I'd live past 30. I was idolizing women in movies about heroin addiction. A life beyond my wildest dreams is like, it's not, there's nothing. So it isn't a life beyond my wildest dreams by any stretch of the imagination, right? I live with that one. So that's, you know, it's a dream. Kind of. Sometimes it's a nightmare.
Meetings every day.
Yeah, and he goes to meetings every day. So and he's still a nightmare. No. I love him very much. I never thought I would be able to love someone that way and be vulnerable with someone that way. Like actually let someone hug me was, woo, no, don't touch me, get the fuck away from me. I'm still a little like that, but I'm working on it. So it is not a life beyond my wildest dreams, but only because I didn't have dreams. And it is a foundation for living, and it has given me something I never thought I'd have, which is real confidence. And I'm not afraid to show my weakness to people now, and to talk about my defects, and to show my old fat pictures, and, like to be a human. I'm not afraid anymore of living. And that's the best gift I ever could have gotten. And that's entirely because of AA and people like you. So thank you very much. Thanks, Stu. Now I give you the pain in the ass. I mean, Richard.
So, I said Richard was an alcoholic. Have you ever been to AA and the guy gets back up and goes, hi, my name is Richard and I'm still an alcoholic. Like, holy God, like this is too cornball for me. But AA's cornballishness sort of does work because it sort of has a way of making you humble and not like, who am I type of thing. So it does work. I know it bothered me too, like, are these people morons? Now, if you're wondering what I am not Hawaiian. I've never been on a shrimp boat. I don't own a Chinese restaurant. I'm a Jap, not a Jewish American princess.
Debatable.
I'm the real deal. I'm a chink, the gook, I'm Japanese. Yeah, you laugh, but you used to laugh at me, when I was a kid. This is before we took over the world. So. And I was at the gym and this Chinese guy goes, you're Japanese, right? I'm like, yeah. He goes, half, right? I'm like, yeah. Okay, so you're half white. Yeah, I guess so. But, I always talk about being Japanese. I grew up on Long Island, because it was right away getting beat upon, and being different then. It's not the cause of my alcoholism and drug addiction, but it sure was a nice little fertile ground to start on to give me an attitude like I'm gonna screw you before you screw me. It never helped me to feel any love or companionship or friendship with anybody. You know, the black guy over there and me, I remember in elementary school, I'm looking at him, he's looking at me, and he goes, you know, Richard, we are screwed. Yeah, you're right. It's like, wow. But, you know, God blessed me with a very high IQ. Don't worry, I no longer have it. I drank and drunk that right away. But, you know, I was the little good, typical, stereotypical Asian little book rat. You know, like, doing my schoolwork, doing a good job, high grades, honor roll, da-da-da-da-da. And you try to copy off of me? No way, you do your own work. And, you know, piss people off. And, I mean, let me put it this way. My mother used to dress me in a bow tie and a Brooks Brothers little blue jacket. And I had to go to school with guys like you who would kick the shit out of me all the time. You know, it wasn't fun. But I did well in school. And, you know, I had like cocaine paranoia right from the beginning. You know, I'd look outside and I'd be reading and I'd look outside and I'd see all these people, these kids like playing and laughing together and everything. And I was like not part of it. I wanted to so be a part of something. And I remember the day, you know, it was like junior high, like the 7th grade, and I'm walking past the woods. And I get a call like, hey, Heathco, come over here. I'm like, oh, I'm going to get shit kicked out of me again. And it was the guys that I looked at with the leather jackets, you know, the long hair, and the Beatle boots. And they're like, come over here. And they gave me a cigarette and beer. And it wasn't, you know, some people are talking alcoholics, and I was, oh, I felt the feeling, the beer rushing in me. I didn't feel that. I felt part of it. I felt like, yes, I'm part of something. And you know, the schoolwork, the gifts that God gave me, all started to fall away. And all I wanted to do was hang out with them and get high and drink. We were big drinkers. And you know, I started to notice a difference right away because they would take me out to parties on a Saturday or Friday night. We'd get drunk, we'd throw up, and I loved it, you know. To me, it was great. But then I started to notice on Sunday through Thursday, they didn't drink. But to me, alcohol worked because I could go to school and that little chinky kid became like, hey, what's up? Hey, no, you know, like, my brain, I was bigger, I was better, I was sharper, I was cooler. I felt great. So why, it's like medicine to me. You know, people are like, why did you drink alcohol? Is it because it worked? All right? It was the greatest medicine. I felt on top of the world that I could tell you how shitty you are and how wonderful I am. And it was, so I would drink during the week. And at that age, I'd have somebody buy me Tango. You don't know what Tango is? Yeah. It's pre-mixed screwdrivers. Okay? It's like Tang, the breakfast of astronauts, and the worst vodka in the world. And I'd have like a dozen of them in my backyard in the winter, and they would separate. You go, oh, it was perfect. So I would catch a buzz before going to school, and that's the way I liked it. I stayed buzzed. And I wasn't drunk, but I stayed buzzed. And then as the time went on in school, I used to get, you know, drugs came in, but it was always the alcohol. Then the other thing kicked in is the ego, because at one time, it was like, you know, Yoko Ono and John Lennon became very popular. All of a sudden, very popular to be Japanese. And all of a sudden, every white girl wanted a piece of this. And I'm getting laid all the time. You black guys, you were like on the side now. I'm number one. All right? So it was like really like, whoa. I mean, I got it all going.
All right.
I got it all going, and I'm having a great time. I want to tell you something. You know, I went to a rehab too. I weighed 350 pounds. My hair was down to my waist. Okay, I didn't wash, bathe, comb my hair. So I had this big softball knot to the back of my head. So I walked like this because I couldn't move my neck, and my back was all chafed from it. And I have diabetes, so the skin was coming off my legs. You just push it off like sponges or something. And you didn't want to get next to me because I smelled, because the skin was starting to like go away. And
Thank you.
the true story is if you tap the back of my head, little tsetse flies would come out, because that's how dirty I was. And I got to a hospital, they cut all my hair off, hosed me down. So I wasn't in good shape. You guys look pretty good. When I got here, I was not in good shape. This is whatever I am, I'm the product of Alcoholics Anonymous, okay? And some surgery too. No, like, all my teeth are implants because my teeth rotted. You know, I was in pain all the time, so I surgically had it removed. And my face was really beat up, so I had to have some surgery on my face because being out there, it seems like fists always end up in your face. I don't know how that happens. It must be but that's just to let you know that it wasn't so good when I got here. But eventually in life, I woke up one morning and I looked around. I had a wife, 3 children, a house, cars, and a business. And I was like, how did this happen? I started a business and it sort of started to work. I had a college degree. I didn't know much about it. Matter of fact, my second wife, one time we were watching a television show, she goes, what are they talking about? That's your major. And I'm like, I have no idea. But what happened is this business started to grow, and from 5 to 15 to 25 to 50 employees, and I was like, now I'm like king of the world. I don't got a punch card. I don't go tell anybody where I am. I do what I want. I'm making too much money, which is a cocaine problem. God's way of telling you, you're making too much money. And I just didn't. So the only thing I wanted to do was get drunk, get high, and hang out in bars. I love bars. So I go to work, and now I'm an everyday drinker, and it's bad because I got this business going, and there's people with their families relying on this thing for their living, for their livelihood, for their families. And they're watching me bounce off the walls. And I always had, I was a Tanqueray and tonic drinker. Tanqueray and tonic and a shot of Jack. Jack to get you there, and a gin and tonic to keep you there. And I ended up, the plastic bottles, $6.99, you drop them, they bounce right back up. Right? It rots your gut out. You don't know if it's vodka or gin. You just know that the guy that's selling it to you at the liquor store, when you're coming in for your second one for the day at $6.99, he's looking at you like, I don't really want to sell this to you, but I'm gonna. But I'm gonna. They were rolling around in the car. I was crossing lines, People say, I crossed the line. But if you're a good alcoholic like me, you move the line every once in a while. But I haven't gotten there yet. And everything that I thought, if I ever did that, something's wrong. Driving the wrong way on Sunrise Highway was one thing I was like, how do people do that? And there's the one night I find myself driving the wrong way on Sunrise Highway. And I pull off, and I get off driving the wrong way on the entrance. And I'm on the service road, I'm like shaking, like, oh shit, I gotta get to the bar. That's the way, get to the bar, get to the bar, get to the bar, get to the dealer, get to the drink. That's all that I could do. And the bar became my home. Man, I had that stool on the end where I could look at everybody else and tell them what assholes they were. Okay, I was friends with the bartender, I always make friends with the bartender, so you're in there solid, and that was my life. I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to go to work, but I had to. I had to. I had 3 children. I threw money at them. I didn't give them love. I just was, on the outside, sometimes it looked good. You drive them there, you drive them here, you pay for this. But the thing was, all my mind was saying, let's get this over with so I can go drink. Let's get this over with. And I'm driving drunk with 3 little kids, children in the car, and I never got in an accident with them. But when I see on television someone getting pulled over and arrested drunk, and they have their child with them, and people go like, oh my God, that's terrible. I'm not any better. I just didn't get caught. I just didn't get caught. But otherwise, I was a big cocaine user. I didn't want to buy little, 8 balls. I bought an ounce a week because I had the money, and I put it in the middle of the car so I could just dip into it while I'm driving. And it never crossed my mind. Somebody goes, Richard, that's a federal. I'm like, what? Because yeah, if you had gotten stopped, you would have been facing time. And I was like, see, the things that didn't happen or could have happened, that happened to other people. So, you know, there's no judgment in AA. Whatever you've done, we either did it or came close to it or just didn't get caught at it. So don't ever feel, you know, and the other thing is people come to AA and they think, my story is worse than anybody else's. You know, it's not. I sponsor a lot of guys and we go through the steps and they tell me what they did, okay? And they was like, well, if I tell you this, you know, you're not gonna like me anymore. I'm like, I don't like you already. That's not the deal. The deal is you gotta tell me, admit to me, like I'll admit to anyone what I've done, okay? And they all think it's horrible. But I tell you, I've sponsored a lot of guys, and I've never gotten a story with a goat in it. And I'm always waiting, come on, give me the goat story, give me the goat story, all right? It doesn't happen. But the thing is that I started to lose touch with reality. I didn't know the real from the fantasy. I would try to go to work. You know, I would come to, and I put a sock on, and in the morning that's cause for celebration when they have a drink. Put the other sock on, another drink. By the time I got my t-shirt on, you know, it was 12 o'clock, and I was bouncing off the walls, and I would get in the car, and I'd have to stop at the bar near the railroad station. You know, they serve a very nice breakfast there, shot of Jack and a vodka, and people reading the newspaper upside down, like they really know what world they're in. They're reading a newspaper, and I felt at home. That's where I felt at home. I had to be with people just like you, just like me, that we just can't stop, that I need to stay out of here, and that's where I was. I stayed there, I got away with it, and I got away with it. You know, a lot of people crash and burn fast. I just seemed to get away with it. And to the point was, people, I became like the village idiot. I lived in Babylon Village, and my poor children would hear things at school like, hey, we saw your dad this morning. They go, where? Oh, he was crawling down Deer Park Avenue on all fours. You know, I was the guy that tried to walk home from the bar and shit in his pants. I was the guy that pissed in his pants coming in the bar. You know, I was the guy that would hang out with other guys that would nail on somebody else's foot to the floor and think it was funny. I mean, this was my life. This was my life. The children, they had to get away. They all went out to school. I ended up, it was just the wife and I, and all of a sudden I noticed the house is getting it's nice and quiet. Nobody's bothering me. And I said, I guess you just learned to leave me alone. See, but I didn't realize, it took me about 3 to 4 weeks to realize she moved back to her father's house. And I just didn't know. I just didn't know. Because my life was drinking, coking, and passing out, watching TV. And in AA, when I came here, I heard this thing. I was like, whoa, I know what that is. This is my world was starting to get really closed in, like the walls are moving in on me. I lived in one room, and it got smaller and smaller, and even the worst drinkers in the bars that I hang out in, where if you peed on the wall, it was okay. They were like, Richard, man, you can't come in here. You bother the customers. And I was like out by myself now. And as the world is getting smaller, okay, I'm starting to really get that hallucination thing going. And I know a lot of people like you whatever you did to hallucinate, you like think it's the best thing. Well, if you ever had the DTs or the hallucination from alcohol, it's not fun. It's bad. It's not that fantasy world, you know, where you see Captain Kangaroo jumping out of a box. This is bad stuff. This is dust balls that jump up on the couch and start talking to you and telling you what's wrong with you and what you should do to yourself. Okay? That's the drinking hallucination. They're not fun. There's no let's go out and party thing. And I hit that, I don't know why, but the moment came and I just hit the floor and I had to have help. I couldn't do it anymore. I didn't realize that I was trying to commit suicide by just constantly drinking. And for those of you who drink the way I drink, you know that feeling of desperation when I cannot get drunk. When I'm drinking and drinking, it's like wanting to have sex and there's a beautiful girl behind that window, but you can't get to her. I couldn't get drunk, and it was insane. It was starting to make me crazy, and I would just leave, I would pass out, come to, drink, pass out. My body is falling apart, and I have to tell you that, you know, the woman that I say was my wife, we really didn't get married. You know, we were the ex-hippies. We didn't want to ruin the love with a license. And she came back, and my friend said, marry him, because he doesn't have more than a month left. I was, you know, with diabetes, man, my body was just, it was conking out. And, you know, $6.99 vodka doesn't help at all. But I ended up back in the honeymoon by myself. And I ended up being kicked out of my house and living in a beautiful motel, like the Bayshore Motel. You know, the beautiful cinder block. Yeah, it's a cinder block area. And it wasn't fun. But yet, it kept me drinking. But I did ask for help. And I ended up in the hospital, and I ended up in a place like this. And the first thing I thought was, how did I get here? It's so stupid. Like, how did I get here? What happened? What happened to the kid, the guy, the woman that we were supposed to be? The one that our parents raised me to be. The person that I had the possibility to be. And I never did it. I never did it because alcohol took over. And I knew that I was an alcoholic. I was proud to be an alcoholic. Because if you came to me up in a bar and you said you're an effing alcoholic, I said, how much do you make? That's how I gave my life. How much do you make? What do you do? And they were living happy lives. I would sit in the bar and I would look out a grungy window on a Sunday morning, because we had special Sunday morning treats there. And I would see families walking to church or carrying the bagels, and I'm sitting in a shit bar, and I'm looking out that window going, they don't know what life's about. They don't know. They did know. I just was afraid of it. I didn't know that my life was being driven by fear. Always fear. Fear you'd know me, fear you'd find out about me, fear that if I just was clean, you wouldn't like me, or you'd think, this guy is nothing. That was my fear. And in Alcoholics Anonymous, I learned that fear and resentment was the driver in my life. And alcohol was the one that helped me. I mean, I loved alcohol. It was like my, you know, it was like your mistress, your man. It was like I held on to it. And the first thing that happens in AA is you realize you have this separation fear, like in here. Like, where is she? Where is he? I need him or her. And they're not there. And there's somebody telling you, you can't have her or him no more. And it's like, whoa, what am I going to do? My friends, everything's centered around that. But in AA and in here, we start to learn about life without it, and that it can be okay. But there's the problem. We start to learn. See, because it's not a program of up here. It's a program of here, in the heart. Because a lot of times, we have people come to meetings like I did. I come into a meeting out of rehab. I know the psychology of alcoholism and drug addiction. I know the sociology, the physiology, the rampant societal decay. And you're like, what? What? Because now, self-knowledge, we learned in the big book, means nothing. Self-knowledge can't keep me sober. It's got to come from the heart. And then we learn about the person who comes in and they're like, shit, if I do this again, my wife's going to kick me out. Fear. Fear doesn't do it. Because alcohol, my relationship with alcohol and drugs is stronger than fear. And it'll eventually say, F that, Richard, don't you worry. We got it covered. Okay? Fear doesn't keep me out. So I got to, at one point, delve into this thing that used to work, that doesn't work anymore, and say, come on, baby, just give me one more shot. And when you get that, when you have that one little inkling of hope, that's the piece you start to kindle, the little hope, and the hope gets into a big fire, and you start to feel better. And there's that one day, and we all remember it as you become sober, there's that one day where all of a sudden, you go, I did not think about a drink or a drug today. How did that happen? And that happened because he was doing the right thing, that I was doing the right thing, that I talked to another alcoholic, that I did what I was supposed to do, and you know what? It turns out to be fun. I was afraid of AA because I thought my life is over. How can they take a partying guy who pisses in his pants and shits in his pants and just make him a nothing robot? Okay? But what I learned in AA is I started to have fun. I thought I was going to be bowling, playing bridge. I was like, I don't even know how to play poker. But what it was none of that. It really was camaraderie with other people like me, but without the drinking. And it was helping somebody else and listening to my moronic story come from your mouth, and I'm hearing me, and I realize how ridiculous this all is, and that I can't stop. I know all these here have for one moment, if you haven't, is just stop to go, what have I done these past Christmases? Whoa. Oh, yeah. All of the things that I did for my family, okay, from the moronic to the stupid to the evil to the completely comedy, like dragging in a tree that's 30 feet long with a big root of soil on it because I was going to put it up in the living room. The bar that I didn't want to leave, okay, being passed out and being told, you got to get up, the kids are up. You got to get up, the kids are up. And you know, in AA, I found out those kids will not keep me sober. If I try to stay sober for those children, it does not work. I got to stay sober for me. And then other things will happen that will benefit them. It's got to be for me. I know that's hard to do. In AA, I have to go to meeting every day. I don't have to, I like to. But in the beginning, I did my 90 and 90, and I fell in with a bunch of guys who we got competitive about it. And now competitive is good for me. So we were like, you know, I ain't going to screw up in this 90 and 90, because if I miss a day, he's going to get ahead of me. And then we got competitive about step work. Oh, haven't done step 7 yet? Okay. It was any way you can do it, any way it worked for you, just so you stay and you start to realize. Sometimes it soaks in quickly, sometimes not. It takes a moment where you're like, oh, just don't go by yourself. Don't sit in the back by yourself. Get someone to go with you so you feel. It can be a very lonely place. And it can be a place where you're not going to hear anything about alcoholism or drug addiction. You're going to hear nonsense. You got to be with someone who can teach you. I had a sponsor, I got in rehab. When I went to the rooms, he was right there and said, sit down, welcome to AA. And he would whisper in my ear. You know, when the woman said, oh, my cat died and I don't do. Oh, boy, Rich, that's not AA. Or, you know, the man left me or the wife left me. That's not AA. AA is the solution on a day-to-day basis on how not to pick up the drink and to have a good life. You know what? There are people in AA or who don't drink, and you know what? I pray to God they do drink because they are so miserable. We always say, don't light a match near that guy. Okay? He is miserable. That's not what it's about. It's about having a good life, a real life, having fun, a family, if you so desire, whatever. Just as long as it's your decision, doesn't hurt anybody else, you know, you can rock and roll till the cows come home. With that, have a good night. Thank you. How do you want to go out? Oh.
Only Serenity.
Do you know Mr. Rennie Fred?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, you take us out.
Turn us off.
All right. Ready?
God. Serenity, to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
See you again. Feel better? Thank you. I was like, thank you for the clever saying. Thank you so much. Don't worry about that. I know. Thank you so much. Thank you. I actually just got here last week, so I'll be here for training. Women that will want it. Unfortunately, for coming to the meeting. Is it mandatory?
We're not supposed to fraternize, but I had 8 years clean and sober.
Yeah, well, you can do it again.
I identified with what you said is a program of action.
Yeah.
And I got in my
That was
way.
the difference. I relapsed because there was no action.
I stopped going to meetings.
Right, I got complacent.
And I just wanted
Right. Vigilance for the kids. Come back to us. We'll be there with open arms.
Thank you for your service,
Thank you
Mary
for
Ellen.
being here.
Yeah,
Yeah, how
I'm
you
gonna be here
doing?
for a bit more.
Yeah, did you get here?
On Monday.
Okay. Is this your first time in
I in a rehab, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the first
So you
time.
tried to get sober?
Yeah, I did have some time in AA, and I was that miserable.
Yeah.
And I identified with you. I ate
Yeah.
like a lunatic.
God, almost every woman you talk to has a food problem first, and their story you see that first, and then it moves to drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things that I never thought I would do as far as like ice cream.
Are you kidding? I used to order enough Chinese food for 6 people, and I would pretend. I'd call the Chinese delivery, and I'd pretend there were other people in the house. Yeah, what did you say you wanted? And they would pack the bag, and it would have like 17 utensils, because they thought I was like a household of people. I'd eaten half of it.
Yeah.
And then if I threw it away, I'd go back in the trash later and get it. So that was where you see my addiction first, and then if I can't have one, I'll take the other.
Yeah. So.
Well, you never have to do this again.
Yeah.
Right, for real.
Merry Christmas if
Merry
you celebrate, or Happy New
Do
Year.
it for family, right?
God bless.
Me too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Christmas, appreciate you.
And
coming
you. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thanks, we appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Call him.
Merry Christmas. What day do you guys meet?
7 days a week. Have you been today?
Just Booze meeting?
Yes, but a long time ago.
Yeah, I think that's where I might have met him.
Yeah, he speaks a lot. People love him. Yeah, I'm in the picture to rein the ego in a little.
Good luck.
It's hard work.
Where do you live?
I don't know why. You look familiar to me. Have you been to 474?
He like started 474.
Oh, wow.
There's no good food for 474 no more. You get too small.
Oh, okay, but they don't have it.
Yeah, they have meetings there, but it's like.
Thank you for coming out.
Thanks for being here. I hope you're not here next time I come. I hope I never see you again unless it's in an AA meeting. No.
I'm gonna sit there.
Wrong. Wrong answer. That's true. It really is true.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock?
Yeah.
5 p.m. every day.
Every day.
So you can't go over.
No excuses.
Okay.
All right?
I do. When I can. I have a job
You know what, just look
that prevents me sometimes from Saturdays and Sundays.
The only one in Bowling.
No, there's others in Belleville, but no frills. No
frills in Bowling. Okay, I'll write that down.
And it's the only one that goes across the board for 5 o'clock.
Okay.
And that one of the guys, he's gone there too.
Yeah. It's good if you don't have anything to do, because it's 5 o'clock every single
You're
day.
not gonna be working back in brain surgery.
I mean, I own my own college, so I can work in college.
There you go. That's why it worked for him.
And I can,
I
work
sit up,
on my schedule.
I sit up with a bunch of
I
guys
work in the
up
city, so it's
front
hard.
to come with us, all right?
I have a bunch of friends from Belmont. All my friends live down Judith Drive and stuff.
They'll love it.
No, this is great. Thank you.
Okay.
If I could combine
Alright,
you two into a
take care.
single person, you'd be my ideal story.
Really?
I literally was him in
People-
elementary school. You, I went to.
A lot of people have said that because we're like bookends. Yeah.
I was the nerd in Brooklyn,
Yeah.
and then I got shipped to the Upper East Side on 94th and Park and became
It's
you.
where I went to school.
Embraced the counterculture, became that.
Well, there you go. And you too can be awesome like us now.
Yeah, I was a little top ass. I was raised in the ghetto and then moved to the suburbs.
Every once in a while to
What I'm
stop.
saying.
Yeah.
Sunday morning.
I was him in your
I
world.
just chose to hang out in the ghetto.
Starbucks on
What?
Is that the Starbucks on Long Island?
This is like the fancy West Hampton place, bakery.
You know it myself.
It's very fancy.
Skylar and Taylor asked me where I summer,
And they'll just take that hand.
Did they use the word summer?
Yeah, where do you summer? And I'm like, I didn't know what that was. And then
That's
they
what
start
all
making
the
fun of
kids
me.
I grew up
And
with,
they
how
make
they
fun
said,
of
where
me.
do you summer? And I summered in
Like,
Southampton.
oh, you were on the fucking fire escape with the Johnny Pump. I was like, yeah.
See, I summered in Southampton and would have rather been on the fire escape.
See, I did both. My family
I got
from
a
Little
taste of
Italy from nothing, but they came up,
Yeah.
you know, starting working in delis, this, that, starting to buy properties and everything, you know.
Nobody knows.
Well, one of his sponsees, that's his upbringing too.
Yeah, I met Alan last week.
Yeah.
I got his number.
And his sponsee, Dan, is same thing. Family business, came up through
Dan
it.
Popple?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm best friends with Dan.
Are you?
Yeah, I know Dan's whole family. Gabrielle, all
He's
that.
my nugget. I call him Nugget. He's
That's
my
awesome.
little
I haven't
brother.
seen- Me and Dan went to college.
He is like one of my favorite people in
Me
the whole
and
wide
Dan
world.
went to college together.
Well, he's at No Frills all the time, and that's his
But I have to
sponsor.
say, I went to the
Because
movie.
I haven't seen Dan in a while. I was best friends with him.
He's amazing.
He got caught up with some really bad stuff. And then got caught up with his
Yeah, I
car
know, it's
and
your
everything.
problem.
Yeah. Yeah, basically.
So you distanced yourself from that, but then you went right into it yourself.
Yeah, more or less.
They're gonna think what happened.
Just checking.
They're gonna think nothing.
I
Well,
guess
he
you could
might
say.
be a really good person to reconnect with.
I haven't seen Dan. I saw him a couple months
What's
ago
your
when I
name?
got out of jail. James Sarhu.
I'll tell him myself, my
feel
little
like-
nugget.
Yeah, he was in my business economics class.
I think of him as like my little brother.
Yeah, me and him just clicked right away. We became best friends as soon as we met.
He's smarter than your average cookie.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, we both related.
He's
both
got
our families
really
have
good
companies.
sobriety.
Yeah.
His girlfriend's hot, also has really good sobriety. And they have a whole crew
Is
of
he working
friends.
with his uncle again and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
And it's just,
'cause
he's
last
like
time
going further and further.
Yeah, last
with
time I
it.
saw him, I saw him at the barber shop. He said
And
he didn't want to work with his uncle just yet, but he started working with
But
him
he
again.
came back, and his family's been supportive, and he went to No Frills every single day for his first year.
I am too.
He's made a really good group of guy friends.
Out of myself.
Yeah, he's gotten a really good life together for himself. With this as his sponsor.
That's the problem. Look, you know what? When I came to AA, I realized that I never had sex when I was being fucked up.
Just kidding.
I was like afraid. I was like a virgin.
It's really good.
I know.
No, I've had it before, but it's like,
You don't have
instead of going 2 hours, it's like 20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean,
What, you and Jesus?
what's that?
Clearly. They're very similar, him and Jesus.
PB&J, please.
So make 31
Yeah, no.
your anniversary.
Your Dan Popple sponsored
Yeah.
it?
Right. So next year.
Let's remind him again, right?
Yeah.
Dan's not dating his ex, right?
No.
Okay, I hate that.
No, it's a wonderful girl who I like, and I don't like a lot of people.
No, because his ex-girlfriend is such a piece of shit.
Eric.
I hate her.
No, this girl treats him like gold. Because otherwise,
He
I
deserves it. No, he deserves it. He's such a good fucking kid.
she's a nurse. She's
I couldn't
great.
even believe he got caught up with that shit in the first place.
Well, it's not surprising. So you might know Kenny
Kenny Hill.
Carney, who's also in the room. He might have gone to high school with you.
No.
He's not my favorite, but
Dan I met
he's
in
got good
college.
sobriety.
Me and Dan met in college together.
I love him.
Yeah.
I love him. I'm really proud of him. And he's not someone who he dedicated himself entirely to AA in his first year.
Yeah.
He was really in it and left, you know, he didn't go back to work immediately, and then when he did, he left early and did everything this annoying person said. But it worked. And then he really started to develop like a life, and now he's an AA like me, where it's always there, but it's not everything all the time.
I'm going to be home for a couple weeks. I'm going to St. Christopher's too.
Oh, good. That's what Dan did. He started St. Christopher's and then AA.
Yeah.
And it worked beautifully.
Yeah.
Because it got
It
him
took me a
so
while.
humble.
It took me a while to like come up
To
with that
agree to
decision.
that.
Yeah, I was fucking.
It's tough, but he loved it, and every time he shared, he talked
Listen, I
about
was
it.
just like.
He made him go.
Yeah.
He was like, nothing is fucking working. Let's go, you know?
I was just you guys go to.
I went to AA. I didn't go to rehab. No, I started the 79th Street Workshop in Manhattan. He went to South End. But you're never going to go again. This is it. This is it. This is your life. Make the decision now. Never have to do it again.
I told him you gotta show me everything.
John in the other room.
Is this your first time in a rehab?
No. Sadly
Do you
not.
really want to do it again?
This is the only time I
Is
came
it super
myself.
fucking awesome?
No, every time I
Right?
get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
My parents is tired of spending fucking 90
Yeah,
grand
a
to
few
send me
more
to
times and
Florida.
that's it. You're done, you know?
I should be dead already.
And, right. So you're given a chance right now.
Yeah, I should be dead.
Me too. How old are you?
26.
Really? Yeah. Do it now.
Yeah.
Do it now and you can act like Dan's doing so great.
Listen, it all started off when I was working on Wall Street, like fun and games, fucking going out doing blow this, that, blah, blah.
Yeah, and then it turns
And
into,
Fucking boss giving me painkillers. I had no idea what the fuck it was, nothing. And then I'm living in Soho, and then I'm all of a sudden I just fucking
right, judging Dan, he hung out with that.
No, I was friends with him. Me and him actually used to get fucked up together.
Oh, good.
Like, and then we kind of like went separate ways. But that's because I moved to the city. He was still on Long Island.
Where were you living in the city?
In Soho,
Where do you live now?
in Massapequa,
With?
with my family. I was living in Long Beach,
Right.
but that
Right.
apartment
But
turned
now
into
I'm
like
back
a
with my parents.
drug whorehouse.
Yeah. Now I'm back with Mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so.
I need that, like, humbleness for a little bit.
Fascinating, yeah.
You know what it was the same thing with me.
I work a lot,
Like,
and I know a lot.
I came out of jail, I went to rehab, I came home, then me and my friends bought like a 2-story condo on the beach in Long Beach, and I was like, oh, I'm fine now, I don't need to do shit.
Totally, I'm fine.
Yeah, and then after that, I just started doing
I had
fucking
everything.
Molly every single day, fucking
Right.
girls all the
The
time.
problem was I could afford everything.
Yeah, and then, I mean, so I don't really like to share in like big groups and shit, because sometimes people just talk shit to me, and they'll be like, oh, you have money, no problem, this and that, and I'm like,
I
that means I
share
have
it.
a fucking worse problem.
Well, not necessarily, but it means it's easier for
Yeah,
you
it
to
was
get
easier.
it. So you didn't have to go to the dangerous drug den
No,
necessarily.
not at all.
But it doesn't mean your problem's worse.
No, I mean,
It just means it's
I had a
easier.
bad habit. I was doing like 10 bucks.
It means you're putting yourself in fewer dangerous situations.
Yeah.
Because my dealer
No, I
delivers
was-
to my
listen,
house.
Yeah, I mean, my dealers live it too,
Yeah.
but if he didn't, I would be in the heart of Hempstead or the
But I know
Bronx or
plenty of
anything,
people
you know?
who are way worse than me who had to go into pretty dangerous situations.
Yeah.
Not worse, it's just easier. I mean, having money makes it easier.
That's what I like. Once I got the drug,
Right. Right. I mean, it's all part of it. It's like doing cocaine, it's all part of the
Yeah, it's
thing.
just straight adrenaline.
Money makes it harder to identify the problem. Money makes it harder to identify your problem. You cover it up. So, I still have a job. I still have a house. I still have this. How can I have a problem? What? Well, I say that too. I didn't know until I knew. Until I was done.
I got hooked
So you don't
fucking
have
quick,
to be.
like before I could even blink my eyes. I was hooking up with the girls.
Heroin?
Yeah, I was hooking up with the girls, we were getting ready in my bathroom before we went out. Then we were going to take a boat to the mile. And I went in the bathroom and there was just fucking baggies all over the floor.
You're like, this is for me.
Yeah, I picked it up and I was like, oh, this is definitely
Right. Well, that's an almost
And then
immediate addiction.
I just literally went out for like the whole fucking weekend, like didn't sleep at all. Had to go do a job on Monday in Manhattan. I fucking was like, alright, I feel like shit. I'm just gonna sniff
And you're
a little
already
bit
in
of
it.
this.
You're done.
Yeah, so I
You're
sniffed a little bit of it. I fucking passed out and smacked my face on my marble countertop and broke my nose.
Did you get Richard's number?
I have his number and I have
Dan?
I have his number and I have Alan's number. So
They're the winners in that room.
yeah. I'm always in the area. I go to St. Demetrius, guys. They're in Belmont.
Our home group is Belmore. Yeah, that's Napa.
It's by me.
We live in Amityville, which is right on the border of Suffolk and
It's
Napa.
literally 2 towns away from me. I'm Massapequa. No, Massapequa. I'm the last town before Suffolk.
Like our neighbor. Much nicer train station.
So if I'm over here in Riverhead, how far away?
Yeah, 45 minutes.
But it's worth it for that meeting. I mean, I have friends who come from Long Beach to go to a big family. Yeah. And then to have that. Yeah, there's everything. There's great AA.
They're all over.
I jump on the bus.
Yeah.
Hop on the railroad.
I take the
Hop on the
train.
train.
Yeah, I do the train.
Yeah, I think you
But I
have
don't know how to drive.
You still don't drive?
Stop. I take Uber.
Yeah, they have everything.
They do. Thank God. No, I.
Parents that call me like all the time, like, what's using your Uber account? I'm like, oh, I don't know, it's gonna totally go
Well,
out.
just be human. One of my many flaws is a fear of driving.
My dad's like, you get like 15 calls a day from Uber. I'm like, I don't know, I got that from Hannukah, Westchester, I sent them all over the place.
That's great. I'm sure he loves that.
No, he was like, who the fuck is this? I'm like, I don't know,
Another
yo.
bratty kitty thing.
No, my old boss from the stock that my old boss from the stock market, we opened up a new company doing like hard money loans and cash advances. And he lived by me and
People can't afford to pay them back.
no, only businesses, established companies. And like he would either give me his Maserati or like we opened an Uber account. No, it drives like shit. It fucking sucks. It's a piece of shit. It's a Chrysler on fucking on Italian.
I'm 5 years, I had 4, and then I was out with 4, and I'm 5 years now.
David, what's the score?
13 years.
What's the score? What's the score?
Just the whole thing. Really don't. I mean, this can be it. We've got to make our decision.
I just wanted to thank you for sharing earlier because I can relate. I can definitely relate. You mentioned that not making AA like the life, but just making it my first rehab.
Okay, good.
And it's my 5th day here. I don't know how long I'm gonna have this under my insurance. So I'm a little. I know I need to go to an AA meeting the first day.
Right,
I get
first
out.
thing you're going to do.
I have to do that
Yeah.
for sure. But
Are you going home when you leave?
yeah.
Okay. And is there active drug use in your house?
No.
Okay. That makes it a lot of work.
It's just I'm just concerned that I might lose my friends.
Right.
All my
You
friends.
will lose some of your friends. Yeah. You'll lose the alcoholics. You'll lose the drug addicts, right? But the people who are normal, they don't give a shit if you don't drink. It doesn't occur to them to be like annoyed by it because they don't have a problem. The only people who don't want to hang out with us are people who probably need to be here too. So all my normal friends are still a part of my life, and I see them all the time. In my first year, I didn't go out hard because it made it harder, But once I sort of found a foundation, and I felt confident, just here, of like taking it easy. And that doesn't mean don't see them. See them for lunch, you can go to the movies. Like if they're normal drinkers, they don't mind doing normal things. And the people who are like pressuring you or who don't want to be your friend because you don't drink, are they really your friend? Or were they in it? So like hold them up to that test. Like real friends want you to be better. And they're willing to do things with you and don't involve you. Tell what you're doing. I mean, think of a chance at a life, instead of being one of the victims of it. But feeling like you never have to feel that way again. What would you rather do? But that alone, 5 years later, still keeps me safe. Like that, I just never want to fucking hangover. Right?
I've had where I've been eating all day.
Right.
I feel like I have to throw up and nothing.
But nothing's happening. It's called alcohol. Like you wake up so drunk.
Yeah.
But it's like not good drunk. Yeah. You don't have to do that now. I mean, how cool is that?
It's not.
It is cool that you don't have to feel that way.
No, I mean, it's not cool that I feel that way.
Right. I'm saying
Yeah,
right now. Right? Come to our meeting.
I got Richard's number. You can,
The day you get out, call him, and he'll set you up, and I'm all
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, thank you.
Take care. Have a good holiday.
You too, love.
frills, you said, right?
No frills,
Okay.
mama.
Oh, that's a
If
good
I'm
name.
not there,
What?
you'll be
No
there.
frills?
Okay.
I've heard of that name. Yeah.
Strong, sobriety, and fun.
Awesome.
Totally fun. All right, kiddo.
Thank you guys.
All right.
Graduate with flying colors and then never come back.
Rick, stop.
Yeah. No, God, I have always had time for you.
Sorry. I just wanted to ask.
Why? You see, you have to learn to
Right.
ask.
I know, but you just did. So shut up, Richard. She just did what was hard to do, and she did it anyway.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
It's all right.
Women and men don't talk to each other the same way in this.
Yeah, and you know what it is? The phone always feels 1,000 pounds when
Yes.
you get out.
They
But
say
when you
that.
Call a drug dealer, it's like nothing, you know. So I gotta force myself to, right?
Yeah.
Even after
Whenever
my
you're
time.
ready, make a
Thank
call,
you.
call me.
I
Okay,
got a
thank you
text
so
from my
much.
sponsor the other day going, I'm still here.
Yeah. Be an example. Call him tonight.
I know. I did call him earlier.
Oh, there you go.
Right. Don't,
Thank you guys.
I hope for a call.
Yes.
you know what? Take it this way. AA members, they need to call more than you need to call.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right.
It actually is. It's not.
Hey
Good
guys.
night.
Bye, sweetheart. You did great. How do you feel now?
The last part of it took it something.